Hey volunteers, welcome back. We're up to our 11th video in the quick help guide to Sunday service slides. And we've gone through all of the previous content. The last thing we did was we added a closing hymn, and we found that hymn on Song Select. Fantastic for that. And now the next thing we're going to be doing is updating the title cards. This is something we don't do in ProPresenter. We're going to do it in Google, in the title card section of the Google Drive. So let's slide on over to our desktop where we do our work. You can see we're still in ProPresenter. So I'm going to go ahead and close ProPresenter. And I'm going to close the hymnal that we had open, our digital hymnal. And of course, here we go. And now if you look in our cloud drives, you'll see an area that says title cards right here. So there's an actual section for title cards, so that we can look at what title cards exist and see if the right ones exist. And in our case, they do, but we're going to make up new title cards. And then you click on create title cards here, but we also have a shortcut here to create in title cards. And when we click on the create title cards, it will open, let's see, personnel title card. So we're going to click on this, and it should open a browser with our title cards in Google's version of PowerPoint. And the reason we're using Google's version of PowerPoint is because Google's version of PowerPoint saves as a PNG, so it saves all the transparency, and that's very nice to have. So green is the liturgical colors of this season. So we're going to go ahead and start with a green slide. And you can see we have three. We have the worship leader, and this week was Lori Runnerstrom. And we have the guest speakers, Vicky Vanderveen, and we have a couple of other green slides. So we're going to just copy one of these for the worship leader. And you notice it's up here because that's where it appears on the screen when we bring up the title card. So we're going to go ahead and say, duplicate this slide, and we can, now that we're working on the duplicate for the worship leader, we can put anybody we want in here. I'm going to say, who do we want to make worship leader this week? We're going to say Holly Green is our worship leader this week. And we can do the same thing for our guest speaker. So let's see who we're going to make for our guest speaker this week. We can make Cookie Monster. I don't know if that's how you spell cookie, but we'll go ahead and Cookie Monster is our guest speaker. And we're pretty much guaranteed a short sermon if it's Cookie Monster. I don't think he has a lot of patience for standing behind a podium. So fantastic. We now have two. We have our worship leader and our guest speaker. We can make any other title cards we want. So the next step we do is we go to edit and we say download. Oh no, I'm sorry, file, download, and we're going to go to PNG. So it will actually download only this slide that you've selected to a PNG. And when we go to, we're going to go ahead and open up, it downloads it to the downloads file. So we click on downloads here, and you can see it just downloaded this, and we're going to name it. We're going to rename it because it downloads it whatever it decides to name it. So this was our worship leader. So we're going to say worship leader Holly Green, and we're going to put that in the appropriate place in just a minute. But before we do that, we'll go back here and we'll download our guest speaker, who is going to be Cookie Monster this week. I'm excited to hear what he has to say about whatever it is he wants to talk about. I hear Cookie Monster is an amazing speaker. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go to File and Download, and we're going to download the PNG. If you download JPEG, the transparencies won't come with it. So you definitely want to. Mouse just wigged out. You definitely want to download the PNG. So we'll go ahead and do that. And it downloaded it, and it put it in our downloads file folder. Here it is. This guy right. Oh, did it? Where is it? I don't know where it just put it. Maybe we have to Oh, maybe there it is. Yep. So I just refreshed it for some reason, and it refreshed it. So we can rename this guy. Oops, I just opened it. I didn't mean to do that, but we can rename it by clicking on it and holding, and we'll say guest speaker Cookie Monster. So now we have these two slides, these two title cards, and we can copy them, and we're going to put them in the right place. So they're copied now. We can minimize this, and we're going to put them where title cards belong. So recall over here we had a place where we could edit and create title cards, and a place over here where we store them. So we're going to click on this, and here's where all the title cards that are available get stored. So I just use Control V to paste them in. And there's our worship leader, Holly Green, and our guest speaker, Cookie Monster. So the next thing we're going to do to pull these into our switcher so we have access to them and we can bring them up whenever we want during the service is we open up ATEM. And you can see we have some, the first three slots are for the pastor or guest speaker. The second one is for the organist, and the third one is for the worship leader. So we're going to go into favorites here and title cards, and you can see we have our guest speaker Cookie Monster, so we can drag this up and just drop it right there. And then we have our worship leader Holly Green, and we can drag that into our worship leader slot here. And KC is always the organist. This doesn't change very much. If we have special music or any other title cards we want to have, we put it into slot 4, and there's a place in the Stream Deck to pull those title cards up. But for most weeks, we only use those 3. All right, so I think that concludes the how to add title cards. I can't show you how that works. Basically, you just press on the Stream Deck on the right button, and it will bring up a title card for 5 seconds, and then that title card will disappear. So if we look at our series here, we've just finished video 11, updating the title cards, and the last video will be things to do before you're done. So I'm going to have a list here of stuff that you want to just check over, and we'll go through that list, check over a bunch of things, and that will be the last video. So we'll see you in the next video.